Ladies and gentlemen, I regret to inform you it might be possible that Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, may have fallen to pressure to send more money, send more billions of dollars to Ukraine. Now, the House Republicans are talking about this, and they are talking about possibly ousting him from the speakership. Well, this hasn't happened yet, and I don't know if it will happen. Just the fact remains that we have a very slim majority in the House right now. So ousting Mike Johnson, I don't know. We're between a rock and a hard place right now. And just to say it frankly, it's very disappointing to see where Mike Johnson's rhetoric is going at this point, because he's talking as if he is considering a bill to send more millions and billions and whatever those numbers are. They're all just numbers at this point, right? To a foreign country that is not the United States. But CNN interviewed several of the House Republicans and asked them about the possible ouster of Mike Johnson, and this is what they had to say.
I would not support a motion to vacate. I gave the Speaker some unsolicited advice that we've got to get into a fighting posture, and I was very pleased with how the Speaker received that advice.
Do you think the Speaker needs to be voted out of office?
I don't have a comment on that. And I think that comment is a comment in of itself, but I don't have a comment on that.
You may have a vote to vacate Mike Johnson. Would you support that?
I mean, look, right now we got to go back and get Republicans united to point out what our radical progressive Democrat colleagues are doing and present a actual competing vision. That does not start with, to be very clear, it does not start with putting a clean Ukraine bill down on the floor.
You have confidence in him as Speaker right now?
Look, again, we're all working together trying to figure out what we're going to do next.
A lot of these members are not there about whether they'll kick out Mike Johnson, but they're keeping the option open.
So it seems like a lot of these members aren't too forthcoming with whether or not they would kick Mike Johnson out as Speaker. And, personally, when I look at the situation that the Republicans are in the House of Representatives right now, I honestly, I don't think we can. I don't think we can kick Mike Johnson out as Speaker, even as much of as a disappointment as this seems, because we have a one-seat majority, guys. And that's as slim as it gets. I was about to say that's about as slim as it gets, but no, that is literally as slim as it gets. But NBC News is talking about this possible ouster. And they say Representative Don Bacon says it's possible Mike Johnson could lose speakership over Ukraine. Yes, he is considering, in his rhetoric and what he is saying right now is looks like that we might be funding more war in Ukraine. But it says Representative Don Bacon on Sunday warned that it is possible that Speaker Mike Johnson could face a vote to oust him if he moves to pass Ukraine bill in the House. Quote, I am not going to deny it, Bacon of Nebraska said when asked by moderator Kristen Welker of NBC News, Meet the Press, whether it's possible Johnson could lose his speakership over Ukraine aid. We have more than one or two people that are not team players. He's probably referring to, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't know who else he could be referring to. I know Matt Gaetz was instrumental in making sure the previous speaker was ousted. But I believe in that video he said that at this time he does not support Mike Johnson being ousted, probably because of the position the House Republicans are in right now. But they'd rather enjoy the limelight, the social media, Bacon added, though he did not name any of the members. Quote, it's a very narrow majority. No, it is the narrowest of majority. And one or two people can make us a minority. Bacon favors some support for Ukraine and highlighted his partnership with Representatives Jared Golden, Democrat of Maine, Brian Fitzpatrick, Republican of Pennsylvania, and Ed Case of Hawaii on a Ukraine aid bill. He said, quote, we put a bill together that focuses on military aid, a $66 billion bill that provides military aid to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. Weird. What about the border? I feel like a broken record saying this, but what about the border, Bacon? Where's the bacon? But he says he called for a bipartisan solution. That's a lot of fancy words to say we should send billions of dollars to a country that is not our own and something that is definitely not the border. But he said, quote, if we do this bill, and I think we will, there's enough support in the House to get this done. And I want to make sure that we have support in the Senate. Bacon maintained that he hopes the speaker prevails. He is doing the right thing. What about this is the right thing? I mean, we're facing millions of illegals coming into the country, coming over the border. The border is still wide open. The news isn't covering as much as, it has in the past couple months. But that doesn't mean it's not still a problem. It is a huge problem still. And then you have states that are considering allowing illegals to vote. Yes. And you also have states like New York that are giving these illegals debit cards. spending millions of dollars to give illegals debit cards. I read another article that said that illegals are getting 7 times more money, more aid than military families in New York. This is the situation we're in, where illegal immigrants, foreign people who come here illegally, are getting more money than those of us, those Americans who literally sacrifice the most for the country. But he also suggested that Democrats could join several Republicans in helping save Johnson's speakership. He said, quote, "I do not think there will be Democrats, though, who do not want to see this dysfunction. And I think they'll probably vote present or maybe not be there for a vote," Bacon said. Representative Jim Claiborne indicated early Sunday that there is a scenario in which Bacon could be correct. Quote, "Would you protect Johnson if there was a move to oust him from bringing Ukraine aid to the floor?" Welker asked. Claiborne earlier on Meet the Press, he said, "I stand in support of our leader, Hakeem Jeffries," Claiborne said, adding, "If he were there to call me and say, look, I would like to have your vote in support of Johnson's," he got it. So Claiborne, or Clyburn, however you say his name, is loyal to Hakeem Jeffries, it looks like. But Bacon also indicated to Welker that Ukraine aid is likely to be brought up for a vote, saying he has a commitment from the Speaker and the chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee that we're going to put this on the floor and get a vote. A vote on Ukraine aid in the House could pose a risk to Johnson's speakership, given the division within the House Republican conference over the topic and the razor-thin majority the party holds. Before the chamber left for a 2-week recess ahead of Easter, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene submitted a motion to vacate, which could lead to a House vote to oust Speaker Johnson. Greene did not file the motion as privileged, though, which would have forced the House to vote on the motion within 48 hours. Yeah, I think the thing that prevented her from doing so is because we have such a tiny majority. And she did say that this was a symbolic gesture at the time. But at any time, she could trigger this from what I hear. But shortly after she filed the motion, Greene warned he should not bring funding for Ukraine to the floor. Another contentious issue that's dividing House Republicans is the state of the ongoing House impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden, which is being led by House Oversight Chair James Comer. Bacon suggested Sunday that the investigation may not have uncovered criminal wrongdoing. He said, quote, "Right now, the lawyers in the committee that I talked to say there's not a specific crime." Not a specific crime? Yeah. And you need that for high crime or misdemeanor. I think they're just ignoring everything that was said during that hearing. It's just absolutely, they're all banding together and defending Joe Biden. And Bacon, a Republican, is just another one of these. This is the difference between Democrats and Republicans here. And I think it's crazy to see this. Whenever there's obvious high crimes and misdemeanors, Republicans, they always like to cut deals with the Democrats. They know the Democrats are the ones that have a lot of power because they're corrupt. So they like to play it safe, and they try to cut all these backroom deals with the Democrats, and then they come out on these media stations and they say, oh, there's no specific crime. And you need that for high crime and misdemeanor. Okay, Bacon, you discussing corrupt representative. The statement seemingly conflicts with recent actions taken by Comer, who said in a fundraising email last week that he is preparing criminal referrals as the culmination of my investigation. In a statement, a spokesperson for the House Oversight Committee told NBC News, quote, "The purpose of these updates is not to advise members on criminal laws. Committee staff provided members with updates on the transcribed interviews and evidence. We intend to issue a comprehensive report that will address criminal violations at the end of our investigation." Despite his statement about potential criminality, Bacon said Sunday that the allegations merited an investigation. So it looks like he's kind of speaking out of both sides of his mouth here. He said, let's put the facts out. Let the public look at it, make a determination. And I think it's good to be transparent, especially we're in an election year, he added. But asked by Welker whether it's time to stop investigating the president if there's no evidence of high crimes and misdemeanors, Bacon said, I don't know if it's the right time now, but I do think we're probably nearing the conclusion of this investigation. The White House has denied wrongdoing by Biden, and in December said House Republicans were continuing down a path of failure with their probe. I do kind of agree with this. I believe that the Republicans, the way it stands now, are heading down a path of failure. But it doesn't have to be this way. If they band together and do what's right and actually indict President Joe Biden, or at least try to impeach him and actually show some loyalty to their party and what we all see to be true, I believe that there would be a chance of success. But right now, the Republican Party is extremely fractured. And that's just the sad state that the GOP is in right now. But what do you guys think of this? What do you think about Mike Johnson bringing this Ukraine bill to the floor? And all of a sudden, his rhetoric is changing quite a bit about Ukraine. We thought he was the savior. We thought he was so much better than Kevin McCarthy. But it turns out, when these people get into these, positions with a lot of power, all of a sudden, their rhetoric and their actions, they just dramatically change. They do these 180s. What's going on here? Please tell me. Why does this happen? Like every single time. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Like and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. But until then, I will see you on the next one.